Crews were already investigating the ground. Then part of I-80 collapsed, and that is what makes this story so unsettling. This was not a random pothole, not just a crack in the road, not just one hole opening up out of nowhere. This was a major interstate in New Jersey, already being watched for ground problems when the roadway gave way anyway. In Wharton, New Jersey, officials had already closed and detoured part of Interstate 80 eastbound after a depression was spotted in the center lane. Then, while crews were performing soil tests that night, the road collapsed. NJ. says the sinkhole that opened was about 11 feet by 11 feet and around 4 feet deep. But the creepiest part was not the size, it was where it happened. That collapse was only about 75 feet away from another much larger sinkhole, a 40-foot by 40-foot collapse that had already been repaired in late December. So this was not one isolated problem. This was the ground failing in the same corridor again, and then things got worse. As crews kept working, another sinkhole opened in March. This one was around 15 feet by 15 feet in the median of the eastbound work zone. That discovery triggered another wave of concern and forced the closure of all lanes on I-80 westbound at one point because the danger was no longer just on one side. Then came one of the most important discoveries in the whole story. A significant void was found under the westbound left lane. Not a visible hole from above, a void underneath. That means the road may look solid on the surface, while empty space is quietly sitting below it. And that is the kind of thing that makes drivers uneasy, because people trust pavement. They trust lanes. They trust that when they are moving at highway speed, the ground under them is there. But this story is a reminder that sometimes the danger is hidden below the asphalt. Not visible from the car, not obvious in daylight, not something most people would ever notice until the collapse happens. That is why the repair became so intense. NJ. says crews carried out geotechnical tests, drilling, and grouting operations to stabilize the area and define where more extensive repairs were needed. And the repair itself was not simple. Officials said it involved excavation, installing large stone, driving micropiles into bedrock, building a concrete slab, placing fill and compacted soil on top, and then rebuilding the asphalt layers above it. In other words, they were not just patching a hole, they were rebuilding trust in the ground itself. And even that was not enough, because this project also required monitoring systems, remote sensing poles to scan the pavement for changes, sensors beneath the road to detect early subsurface movement, and deeper underground devices to monitor long-term soil stability. Think about that. The highway now has to be watched, not just repaired, because the fear is not only what collapsed, it is what could be moving underneath before anyone sees it. That is why this story feels bigger than one sinkhole. It is a ground failure story, an infrastructure story, a reminder that some of the most dangerous problems are the ones hidden below the surface. Bridges, roads, runways, neighborhood streets, they all depend on what is underneath them, and when that underground support changes, everything above it becomes a question mark. The latest progress brought some good news. 2 eastbound lanes reopened on May 21st, then 2 westbound lanes reopened on May 30th, and eventually, all westbound lanes reopened on June 14th, with all eastbound lanes reopening on June 21st. But even with the road reopened, the story still hits hard, because for months, one stretch of interstate became a warning, a major American highway, shut down, detoured, tested, rebuilt, and monitored, because the ground underneath could no longer be trusted. And maybe that is the strangest part of all. Not that a road collapsed, but that crews were already looking for trouble, and the ground still failed anyway. For strange Earth stories, severe weather, infrastructure failures, and real-time disaster updates, follow StormScapes. Because sometimes the danger is not the storm above you, It is the empty space below you